Hey guys, my name's Shannon. Welcome back to my channel, The Crafting Chicken. Today I'm going to share with you my pottery journey and how I became a full-time potter. In June 2021, I bought my first bag of clay and I started doing a bit of hand building at home. And now fast forward almost 4 years and pottery is my full-time job. I absolutely love it. I feel so happy. Just want to share with you how I got to this stage, how I applied for my government startup loan and how things kind of took off for me. Hopefully you'll find this video helpful. I'm obviously not like a finance person. If you need some like professional help, then definitely talk to somebody who is a professional. This is just kind of my personal experience and what I did, and hopefully that can help you. I've always been a crafter. I love crafting, knitting, lino printing, sewing, drawing. Yeah, I love crafts. I'm the type of person that will find a new craft and then I buy all the equipment and then I absolutely love it for like a couple of months, and then I find another craft and I'm like, oh, I want to try that now. And pottery was something I'd always wanted to try, but it wasn't really like feasible to do it at home as such. So I like being in the comfort of my own home. I'm quite like an anxious person, and every time I kind of googled pottery lessons, it would always be in like a big group, and that kind of scared me a bit. And then whenever I'd look into getting all the equipment, like I did with my other hobbies, pottery was just too expensive. So I always kind of put it off, even though in my head I knew I would love it. It got to a point where I was like, I just really need to do some pottery. So I bought my first bag of clay in June 2021, and I started off by doing some hand building at home, and yeah, really enjoying it. So I booked my first lesson. I found a private lesson, just one-on-one. That felt less scary to me. So I did that and absolutely loved it, and yeah, it all kind of started from there. I then found the little orange wheels on Amazon that are not too expensive. They're obviously not as good as a professional wheel, but they do the job. I just want something that I could practice on, and that was perfect for it. I'll link them in the description if you want to check it out. I definitely recommend it for like your first year or two of pottery. It's going to serve you well, but you definitely will outgrow it if you want to keep going. So then I set up my little wheel in the corner of my kitchen. I had cardboard boxes kind of surrounding me to catch all the splashes, and I just practiced loads every day with YouTube videos to help me, and yeah, really loved it. It was a hobby that never kind of ended. So like with my other hobbies and my other crafts, I would do them for a couple of months and then that was kind of it. I'd move on to something else, but I've never felt that way with pottery. It's just carried on. So even though I've always loved crafting, it wasn't what I like originally planned to do with my life. So I went to university and I studied environmental earth science. I feel guilty for not doing something career-wise to do with my degree. But I feel like at college they kind of like really push going to university, though I never really remember there being another option for me. So I kind of just picked what I found the most interesting, which was kind of volcanoes, earthquakes, natural hazards, and I studied that. But every time I kind of looked into what I might want to do as a job, I just never found anything that I could see myself doing forever and being happy at the same time. And so when I graduated uni, it was in 2020, so it was during the lockdown. So I graduated, did my exams online at home, which was really weird. And then I got my degree and I tried to get a job. Again, I was applying for jobs and thinking like, oh, this is really scary, and like, I don't think I'm actually gonna like doing this, but I don't know, I just felt like I didn't have another choice, you know? But unfortunately I wasn't getting accepted anywhere. I was applying for kind of jobs, you know, at Tesco's, farm shops, and it was sending me notifications saying that like over 500 people have applied for this one job, which was crazy. But obviously everyone was just being furloughed, needing a job, so it's a very hard time. Luckily there was a job going at a company that I'd worked for before, so because they already knew me, that really like helped me get in there. So I was working at a department store, doing their IT, cash office, and also like stocking the shelves and stuff. And I was doing that whilst kind of practicing my pottery at home. So I made my first sale quite soon after I started pottery. I do kind of feel like I probably should have waited a bit longer. But I was so excited, and I was posting pictures and stuff on my Instagram, and people were interested in it. So I listed a few things on Etsy, just little espresso cups that I was making. They're really cute. I'll put a picture up here. And I made my first sale on the 30th of September 2021. I bought my first bag of clay in June, had my first lesson in July, August, September. So 4 months after I got my first bag of clay, I made my first little sale. It was really, really cool. Such a good feeling that somebody wanted to buy something that I'd made with my hands. So cool. Before pottery, I did have a few things on my Etsy already. So I was doing little lino print stamps. I'd done some embroidery. I used to do these little chicken pin badges. So I love chickens, hence my channel name and my business name. And also scrunchies. I was sewing a few like linen scrunchies. So I'd done a few sales on Etsy before, but my first pottery sale was on the 30th of September. And I just kind of kept going from there. If I ever made any cute little things, I popped them on Etsy. I got really into making tiny pots as well. So I brought a little miniature wheel, and I was making tiny little pots like this big, little vases, and selling them on Etsy as well. So I'm very, very lucky. My family owns this shop, and the people who were renting it before were then moving out. So then before kind of offering it to anyone else, my family said, would you like to, have a go at having your own little shop and a studio? And I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. Obviously I'm paying rent and stuff, they're not just letting me have it for free. So I still needed to get some funding, I needed to redecorate, I needed to get all the furniture, get a bigger kiln, everything you need to open a shop. So I started researching about different loans that you could get, and I came across the government startup loans, which are for small businesses. You can apply for up to £25,000. It's a 6% fixed interest rate, and you can choose between 1 and 5 years for when you pay it back. And you get 12 months of free advice if your loan is approved. So I thought this is probably the best option for me. So you have to create an account. Once you do, you then have to send off 3 months of personal bank statements, and they'll do like a credit check on you. Once that gets approved, you then get assigned to a local business advisor, and they kind of help you from there. So they then require you to fill out a business plan, a cash flow forecast, and like a personal survival budget. So they give you the documents, so they're like Excel spreadsheets, and you basically fill them in. So the first thing you need to complete is your business plan. The first box was your business and objectives. Describe your business, outlining the different products and or services you offer. So I said, this is weird looking back at. The Crafting Chicken is a pottery business run by myself, Shannon. I sell will-thrown functional ceramics such as mugs, vases, sake sets, salt and pepper shakers, etc. I currently operate in my home studio, aka kitchen, and sell my work online, mostly on Etsy, but I've also set up my own website too. Then it says your objectives in the short term. So the current year, I want to attend craft markets to get my business known to the local population, rent a studio shop front from a family member in my hometown, sell the work of other local artists in my shop and split the profit, host workshops to the public, such as pottery painting and tiny pot making, hire my kiln out to local potters, increase my engagement on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. I hope to break even in my first year. Then you have to put your medium term, so the next 1 to 2 years. I put leave my current part-time job to focus on my business, continue to offer events and workshops, hire 1 full-time member of staff to support with customer service. This will allow me to focus more on making pottery. And then in the long term, I want to invest in a larger kiln so that I can produce more goods, invest in another pottery wheel so I can do pottery lessons, and have a business that's turning a 20% profit by 2025 to 2026. That was quite nice reading that back actually. So I haven't employed a full-time member of staff, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon. It would be really cool, but there's not really any need for it. It then asks you how you will use your startup loan. So I put in my rent and bills, shop displays, point of sale system, a workbench, buying more of the mini pottery wheels so that I could do little tiny pot workshops, pottery tools and equipment, glaze, clay, Instagram promotions, wall paint, decorations, hanging shop sign, so everything that you potentially will need to start up your business and what the loan is going to be used for. So when I first applied for my loan, I put that I needed £10,000. So my thinking with that was just to get as much as I could and still be able to pay back the monthly payments. So then I had a nice little reserve for paying my rent. I was really worried I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. So I thought if I had a bigger loan, I'd have more to then, in case I wasn't able to make any money or something, you know. But my business advisor was like, no, you should only put down 3 months worth of your rent and bills, and then after that you should be absolutely fine to pay your own rent. So I reduced my loan amount down to £3,250. So that covered 3 months worth of rent and all of the stuff I needed to get my shop up and running. Then it asks for your skills and experience. So I just put how I had 6 years of customer service experience from my current employment as a sales assistant. And then I put how for the past 2 years I've worked as an IT and cash office assistant, which has given me data entry, problem solving and organisational skills, and just things like that. Like, they want to know that you have got some experience and that you'll be okay, you know. Then ask about your target customers, briefly describe your target customers, what customer need or problem does your product and or services address, explain your approach to pricing your products, asks about your market and competition, so it wants you to kind of research other businesses that would be your competition and how you give something different to them. The business plan also asks about your sales and marketing plans. How do you / will you promote your business? So I said my website, attending local craft markets, using social media, providing great customer service so people come back. Asks about what insurance you'll need, like a risk assessment, backup plan, how will you manage your loan repayments if your business doesn't go according to plan. And that was it for my business plan. Then you have to fill out a personal survival budget. So it details your average monthly income minus all the costs and expenses you personally incur in a typical month. This is all about your personal life, nothing to do with your business now, and that's just so they know that you're going to be able to pay it back if something does go wrong. So it says if your personal expenses are more than your personal income, your monthly balance will be negative. In this instance, your business will need to generate enough money to cover the shortfall. So with this part, I had to put in my monthly income from my part-time job, and then I had to put in all of my expenses. So this took quite a bit back and forth. So I thought I'd put in all my expenses, and then my business advisor was obviously matching them up to my bank statements. And she was like, okay, well, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. So I had to like go back and try and figure out exactly like where all this money was going. So obviously things like takeaways, getting my lunch food, getting the bus to work, transport, all this stuff I had to put in. If I bought clothes, you know, TV subscriptions, things like that. So after doing all this, my monthly balance actually came to minus £164. So that meant I needed to make enough in my business to cover my personal like loss as well. I then had to make like a note about how I intended to do that. So I said, and I'll also be transferring stores within the next month. So I'll no longer have to pay £120 in transport costs. I'll be spending a lot less on my lunch food as I will live really close to home so I can just walk home for lunch. Further, my driving lessons will stop within the next few months as I have my test coming up and I intend to share my partner's car. However, now I have been able to transfer to a closer store, I'm unlikely to even need the car. So that's going to bring my costs right down. So that would kind of justify it and hopefully make them feel I'm less of a risk. So that was my personal survival budget. And then you have to do a cash flow forecast. So your cash flow forecast is an estimate of the money you expect to bring in and pay out of your business over the next 12 months.
Hi guys, future editing Shannon here. I realised I made a mistake with the way I was explaining the cash flow forecast, so I just wanted to come on here and make it correct. So the cash flow forecast takes all of your expenses from your predicted income to work out the net cash flow. So you have to fill out a sales assumption spreadsheet where you put in 4 products that you're going to sell or services. So 4 products or services. You have to put in the sale price, the cost price, and then it works out the gross profit. Then you have to predict how many of those you're going to sell each month. So for me, October, November, December saw like quite a rise in sales because it was coming up to Christmas and I have a gift shop, so that kind of made sense. And then it kind of came back down again after December, and then it then uses that against your gross profit to work out how much you're making in sales per month. So month one, it adds your loan and whatever month that is worth of sales, and that's your like starting point. And then it takes away all your expenses. So from the personal survival budget, like mine was a minus number, so it then takes that off of your income each month. It will also take off your loan repayments. So my repayments are about £62 a month because I've picked to pay it back over 5 years. And it also takes away in the first month any of your startup expenses. So all the paint, furniture and everything I listed before, it takes that all off. And then each month it will add whatever sales you think you'll make, take away the expenses you have, and it kind of predicts the whole year. So for mine, it kind of started off as a negative for a few months and then it started getting positive after that. They obviously don't expect you to kind of stick to those numbers, but it gives them an idea of how like sustainable your business could be.
Yeah, so that was everything I had to fill out. I also had to make up a little document with links to everything I was planning on buying. They don't kind of hold you to that though. I think they just want to know that you've got a plan in place. I didn't have to like give them receipts or anything after I'd bought it. So that was like everything you had to fill out. And then so you go through this back and forth process. Your business advisor will say whether you need to change anything, then you go back and change it, then you send it off again, then she says the same until it's like at a stage where she says this is good, we're going to send it off to the panel now. I really loved this application because once it was done, I sent it off and I didn't have to stand up and talk in front of a panel of people, which like scares the heck out of me. I hate public speaking. The only person I had to speak to was my business advisor, so that is a big thumbs up from me. So I sent off all my documents. She was like, yeah, this is good, I'm going to send them off to the panel. And then it was just like a couple days later and I had an email saying that I'd been approved. Yay! It's all a very quick process. So I started the application on the 9th of May 2022 and then I was approved for my loan on the 16th of June 2022, so just over a month. I think this obviously depends on how quick you are at editing your documents. So for me, I was doing it like straight away, but I guess if you waited a week and did it, then obviously the whole process is going to take a lot longer. I talked to my employer about my plans and they very kindly offered to transfer me to a much closer location. So I was at a branch that was like 40 minutes away from where I lived and they transferred me to one that was like 2 minutes away. And it just meant that I needed to change my job to being in the post office, which I was more than happy to do. I had always actually wanted to work in a post office, so I worked in a little in-branch post office. It was just a couple minutes away from where I live and it was all perfect. So I was working Thursdays and Fridays at the post office, so that was all day. And then I was doing pottery lessons Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was doing a 10 to 12 lesson and a 6 to 8 lesson. And then in between that, making my own pottery for the shop to kind of stock the shop and things. And then I was opening my shop Saturday and Sunday. So not very like conventional for a shop. Obviously most places open kind of 5 days a week, but I obviously just didn't have enough time to do that. I didn't really feel I could teach lessons and have the shop open at the same time, because if somebody came in, I would then feel, I couldn't just leave the person who's just paid money to have a lesson whilst I go waiting there in case that person wants to buy something. So I just stuck to keeping the lessons in the shop separate. I kind of figured Saturdays and Sundays are going to be the time when people are out shopping for gifts. During the week people are going to be at work, so it wasn't going to be as busy. That was my kind of thinking. So yeah, I was doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday teaching lessons, Thursday, Friday in the post office, Saturday, Sunday in the shop. And then occasionally I was also doing lessons Thursdays and Friday evenings, so after I got home from the post office I'd be teaching a lesson. So it was pretty intense, but I do feel like it really kind of helped me get on my feet. Having the post office job meant everything was a lot more like stable and secure. I knew I could pay my rent. It just put less pressure on my business while I was starting up. So in March 2024, last March, I finally decided it was time for me to quit the post office. So I was at a stage where my lessons were really popular. It was only March and I'd already had people booking in up until October that year. So I knew I had lots of people booked in, I had money coming in, and it just felt like the right time to leave my post office job. So it's almost been a year now since I've been doing pottery full time and I still absolutely love it. My evening lessons are super popular. They are booked up again until the end of the year. So that is how I kind of got to where I am today. So I'm going to share with you guys how my income has changed since opening a shop. I find it really helpful when other people share this kind of information because there's not really that much of it out there, and I feel like it's really hard to know how well you're doing. Like, honestly, I don't really know how well I'm doing compared to, you know, how I should be doing. I know that I'm able to pay my rent, I'm able to pay my house rent, I'm able to pay my bills, I live comfortably, so that in my mind makes me think I'm doing like good, but I guess other people might think that I'm not doing so good. So 2022 to 2023, my business turned over £11,626, and my business expenses, so this is obviously when I first started up, had all my startup costs. Business expenses were £12,733. So I made a net loss of £1,125. So I didn't think this was too bad. In my business plan, I put that I wanted to break even. Obviously, I made a little loss, but I don't think it's too bad, £1,125. Obviously, I was just starting up. I've never had a shop before, I've never run a business like this. Everything that I read said that most businesses lose money for the first couple of years, so I was all right with that. Then 2023 to 2024, my business turnover was £21,742, so we're going up, which is awesome. And then my expenses, my business expenses, were £14,755. So that meant I made a net profit of £7,012. So I was really chuffed with this. I was doing a lot more lessons. I think that really boosted it for me. There's just a lot more on it. Christmas time was really good. I had a lot more products on the shelf as well. So when I first opened, it was fairly bare. I'd done my best to try and get as many pots made as possible. But my second year, I was more established, so I had more time to make stuff. I got more makers in, and yeah, the shop was just looking a lot more full and a lot nicer. So that was 23 to 24, and then so far for 24 to 25, my business has turned over £27,333, and so far my business expenses have been £15,885. So my net profit is £11,451. So it's going up. I'm really pleased. It's looking positive. So I really hope this video has helped you feel more confident or more positive about making pottery or any kind of arts and crafts your full-time business if you want to. I read a lot online about how it's really hard to make it a full-time job, but I mean, I've somehow managed to do it, and I think you can totally do it as well. You know, there was a period where it was really hard, where I was doing my 7-day weeks. I did feel burnt out in any free time that I did have. I felt like I couldn't really go out and do anything. I just felt like I needed to stay at home and rest. But I do feel like it was kind of necessary for me anyway, to get things going. And now my business is a little bit more established. I'm able to give myself a couple of days off, and I'm now feeling kind of back to normal a little bit more. So yeah, that period is hard, but you'll get through it, and it's so worth it. Honestly, it's so lovely teaching lessons. If you're able to teach lessons, I would highly recommend that. What I found is that people really love learning a new skill. It's such a fun experience. It makes a really good gift for somebody, especially if you can teach 2 people at once. You know, it's so nice, people coming with their family members or their partners or their friends and just having a really good time, a really good laugh, having a go at throwing a pot. Yeah, I feel like that really has helped me get to where I am today. So yeah, if you're thinking about doing pottery or another arts and craft as your full-time job, let me know, and I'd really like to hear about it if you have any questions. If there's anything I've missed in this video, I didn't type it out what I was going to say, I just had a bit of an outline, so I feel like I probably have missed something. If there's anything you want to know, just leave me a comment and I'll reply to it, or maybe even do another video. Really hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!